So these are some of my pins. I don't remember this, where I got well, I do remember where I got them. I think it was Rockland, but you can't get this kit anymore. I kind of like them. They don't have a clip on them, but they're pretty easy to make, and it's got a lot of wood on it. So I'll put it on the mark. And they'll stand up like that. Got olive and rosewood. And then just have a couple of the slimline. I kind of like, these are cheap. This kit is pretty cheap, like maybe $4 or so. It's a PSI. I kind of like the colors with a real light wood. And so this is done with a CA finish. I probably got about 10 coats. Anyway, I kind of like the CA finish, but it takes forever, so I gave up on it. And now this is with same wood with urethane finish. Put like 1 or 2 coats on that. And this is another one from PSI. It's got a magnetic lid. We'll stick to the other end. And this is a blank. I already brought this one time for a challenge. What is it? His name is Dave. He did our demo with the David Roth, where he did the casting. Anyway, the challenge here is I broke a big chip out of it and then just glued it back on. And if you can find it, that's pretty good. This is the first pin I think I ever turned. This one was an executive, I think, kit. And the frustrating thing about pin making, one of the frustrating things about pin making is sometimes the parts aren't quite the right size. And so when I was putting this together, the tube wasn't quite big enough for the rest of the kit when I pressed it together. And David Alexander cautioned me that it was going to split the wood, and it did. So, but it's not that visible. Anyway, it's my first one, so I kept it.
My tribute piece. It's maple, then it's cut it with a scroll saw, and then glued in red and gold veneer. Okay. My tribute to the Chiefs. It's just red and gold veneer that's glued in after the design was cut on a scroll saw, and it's a cigar pen from PSI. So, but that's all.
So 2 stories to tell here. I went to the USS Iowa Battleship Museum in LA area. It's in Campagner Harbor a few years ago. And in the gift shop at the end of the tour, they had a big crate full of teak that the maintenance had removed from the deck of the ship, that was worn out. And so I grabbed a couple of blocks of that. I thought I'll do something with that. So one piece I used for the stand, and the other piece, it had a stain like halfway through the plank, and I think I assume oil. So I did a pen and pencil set, and so these are actually from the same block of wood, just one stained, one not. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then the other thing I thought you might be interested in, I've done a number of these college pins. I found at like the Rally House where the shirts and stuff, they sell these little fingernail tattoos, and they're basically like little water slide decals. If you build models, they're very similar. So they have no thickness at all to them. So I pieced the pin together out of the dyed woods, turned it, put a CA finish on it, then applied the little decal, and then put another CA finish over the top of that. So it's nice and durable. I've done these for KU, K-State, Mizzou, Nebraska, Iowa State. Just they make great gifts. I've done them for silent auctions and stuff too. So.
What she said.
Well, nothing fancy. They're Bethlehem olive wood, both of them. And they've got religious symbols. One's a cross and one's look like it might be a fish or something. And one's got a knob on the end of it and one's straight. I just had fun messing around with it. I've been giving them away to the powers that be at the local church. And they had a silent auction, and I donated one of these pins, and it sold for $110. So I was real pleased with that.
I just came back from a vacation where I took about 10 pins and used them as tipping material. So they work that way. This one is a slimline pin, and the species of wood I'm not sure of. In the move from the previous office to here, there was a box full of what amount to be pen blank, and I was told to take it, so that's where this wood came from. And I just dress them up with these little felt like sleeves. Oh, on a little. This is a little bit fancier kit, and it's a little easier because it only requires one piece. And I think that's just walnut. And the fanciest one, I have a daughter-in-law who's a vet. And so, and I saw these kits, the metal parts have little puppy dog paws on them. And so for Mother's Day, I turned one of those and gave it to her for, and actually had 3 of the kits. So I still have 2 of them, and I've told her to tell people she knows where they can buy one. So.
I have a little bit of a collection here, but this one was the first pen I ever turned. I took a class at Woodcraft with Chris Teeter to see if I liked wood turning, to get more involved in it. And I did, so I got more involved in it. The other 4 I made while I was, shortly before I retired, I was working. They had a Christmas gift sale and I used it to try out different woods. So I have tulip wood, a walnut, a cocobolo, and a burl that I tried out. Some of them sold. The ones that were of the most interest were the ones that were biggest, because some of the people there had elderly relatives with arthritis, and they found a bigger pen easier to hold.
So these are my first two pens I've ever turned. I never really had an interest in turning pens. Both my kids, they said, well, who uses pens anymore? You know, everything's word processors and email and stuff like that. So I never really thought it would be, but you know, I saw the demo last month and I said, well, I'll give it a try. It's probably one of the most expensive challenges I've done because I had to buy the holders and the kit and stuff. So I guess I'll probably be turning them since I bought the yeah, we got to make it worth my while now. So, but the pens I turned here, one of them spalted ash, and I did a wax finish on it, and the other one is oak, and I did a Cabernet stain. I think looks kind of cool. So just some scraps that I had around the house, but it was kind of neat. The other thing is I challenged myself a little further too. I turned the wood pieces entirely using a skew, so I wanted to up my skew skills a little bit too. So that was something I did different on this one.
I'm not much of a pen maker. And so I used to do it with the troops. We used to turn a lot of pens, but all I did was turn them. I didn't put them together, and I didn't do any of the other stuff. So I bought a pen kit and modified some parts on it without shame. And so I made a fountain pen. I was a little bit disappointed because if you put ink in it, tomorrow it will be dry. You won't be able to, no, the ink won't be dry. It will be dried inside the nib and you can't use it. So you have to wash the nib every day. And I was unimpressed with that. I made this a couple of years ago, actually. One of the things I did was shorten the upper brass tube. The tubes are only about inch, 3/4 of an inch long, and the rest of it's just, and people told me that whatever side there sucks moisture, and so that may be why it's drying. And so today I put super glue inside it and sloshed it around. I made it out of giraffe femur, so that's why I made the pen. Well, you have to catch your own giraffe. Anthony? These are pens. I don't know what you guys pay for your kits. These kits cost 12 cents, and they're big, called a big stick or something. And you have to drill 2 holes. One of them is 5/32, and it has to be that long as that little black part. And this has to be 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and you have to drill it pretty straight so that you don't go to the sides. I learned how to do that when I was making pipes. Oh, sell them for $10. And I guess the other thing that's fun about them is you can make a lot of shapes like this. Mary Poppins.
I feel like Sean McMahon. He talks about all the kits he wants to go through. It's like, okay, I've got these kits. So this is a Coca-Cola It's a fisherman pen. And this one, you turn it down here and it comes out. This one is a Celtic pen. And I don't know if you can see that. You turn it from the back side, comes out. This one is, I thought I would be the only person here, Anthony, but it's a Bic pen. And it has a cap to it. And then Mike Turner or Thomas did a demo on making these pens. And this was one of the ones I made when he did his demo like 8 years ago or something like that. So the only thing different about this was that it has a cap. So there you go.
I saw a demo on YouTube, and the guy made his own herringbone, and he used resin, and then the white part would have been, I'm not exactly sure what it was called, but it's softer. You can cut it with a utility knife. Well, I went one step further and poured my own resin stripes and then build them down through a thickness sander. So this one's got multiple colors, and I've got a couple that are black and white and gray. So it works out pretty good.
Cool. Very good.
I call this my boomerang pen. I first started wood turning, I guess, in '99, and that's what I did was make pens. And back then you would use exotic woods, deer antlers, and maybe tusks. I did a walnut or walrus tusk, I guess. But in any event, I used to give the pens away in business to executives. This particular pen, though, I gave to my dad, and it's a fountain pen, and it's out of curly koa that I ended up buying in Hawaii. And I don't know if yours is the same style where it's got a little cartridge. But I ran out of ink, so I guess I'm gonna have to replace this cartridge. So I don't know if it has the same kind of problem. The reason I call this a boomerang pen is because I got it back when my dad died in 2020, and so it's kind of neat to know that you made this pen 20 plus years ago, and it looks pretty much brand new. And I think it's because of the super glue finish. I don't know any better finish to put on a pen or anything that you're going to touch constantly than the seating finish. So now, back in the day, Danny has his 3 coats of thin, 3 coats of medium, and it was a very complicated process to make sure that you had a very good, nice finish. I haven't made pens for a long time, so I'm not sure if there's a easier way to go, but that's my story. Pardon me?
It's got a little suction cup. Twist the top, it sucks the pen a bit in the cartridge. Oh.
Okay. Well, this has these little plastic. It'll work the same way? Okay. Well, you'll have to show me, because my frustration was they didn't make a good enough kit. I wanted to buy a $60 kit back in 1999 because I was giving it as a gift to my dad, and they'd sell these cheap $20 kits at Craft Supplies. Even the fountain pen, I think this probably was 24 bucks. I wanted to make a Mont Blanc. You know, those pens were selling for $300 back then. I don't know what they sell today, but they just don't make a good quality guts to a pen, in my opinion. And then I got tired of spending the money and everything. And so I started turning things where bowls to you name it. And it didn't really cost you anything. So.
So I brought a couple different things. These are the Duraclick EDCs, and these I made a bunch of these out of acrylic. These are really cool. I got these are actually pencils. They have a little spring-loaded collet in them, and it's like a little carpenter's pencil. And there's a big one like that. That's ebony. This just has friction polish. This is just a smaller version of that. I believe that's teak. This is CA finish. I messed it up. If you guys know to do CA, it can go bad on you kind of easy and it gets cloudy. But I just kept it. And then there's all kinds of crazy things on the internet. So these are actual tobacco pipes that you can buy the kits for. That's the pipe. And I've got two smaller little, and they're made the same process with the pens, right? They get the same equipment. A lot of them use the same bushing. You can just get these little tobacco pipes. And I just thought they were funny. I don't partake personally, but I just thought they were cool to me. So.
So the other day I was needing a pencil, so I turned one and the leads come out of it and you can put new leads in there. But I already put it through my pencil sharpener and it's the right size to go through my pencil sharpener. Because I used to be in the, my dad, when we were younger, he used to bring home pencils that had red and black on either side of it. Because he was supply and it was part of like bookkeeping stuff. So I thought I'd make one for him. And then this morning I was working on a bowl for Paul and I remembered I had to turn a pin. So this is my first pin I've ever turned. So today I turned a pin and now my wife saw it and she says that she's going to start turning because she liked all the cool stuff that when I brought it up to her. So she bought me the pin blank, I think 3 years ago. I was going to use it as a fennel top for a bowl and I never did. So I had something to turn and I cut. So those little barrel things that are inside of it, I don't know what they're called, but the little pipe inside of there, I cut the blank too short for the pipe. So then I tried cutting it again and it didn't, then I cut it too long. So then I had to cut it. I cut it into 3 sections on both of them. So it would kind of look right, so make it longer. So there was a lot of learning involved in this morning. So that's my. Right. And,
fantastic. I wrote down everybody that was there. We got 14 people that participated in the challenge this month. That is awesome, guys. So thank you very much. And what's some very nice looking pins too to look at. So we'll move on now to our show and tell table. But before we do that, we're going to do the drawing because Sue keeps me on the spot. All right, Sue, let's see. Charity, do you want to draw?
There's a winner.
This is the winner. Thank you, Charity. The winner is number 658. If you were in the pin challenge, Terry Nelson. You get those 3 gift cards right there on the sign. But good job, folks. That was a great participation. I love to see that. So now, given that I don't think Sue, forget anything else? All right. We're going to move on to the show and tell table. And looks like Anthony's got something here to show.
So this is a maple burl. I've had it about a year and a half. When I first got it, somebody brought it to me. They wanted pieces cut out of it. And so Don Frank, I went up, took it up to Don Frank's house, and we made 9 slices out of it. This one is, and so this is the 4th one. And I used your method with moving the faceplate over to create the second center to make this groove. I used a water-based, essentially what people color the pins or color the tops with, to color that. And then it's got just a regular 3-part urethane, mineral spirits, and what do you call it? Linseed oil finish on it. And what's kind of interesting about it is I didn't waste much of it. And so maybe I wasted 1/4 of an inch of the thickness. And so what I had done was affixed a double thickness of 3/4 inch plywood to the back with epoxy. And I screwed a faceplate I had into this, and that's how I held it. The plywood was from a project I'd had a long time ago. It was 2.5 feet in diameter, circles. I had 2 of them actually in there. So they're 1.5 inches thick. And I'd used screws and glue to hold the plywood together. And when the project was done, they still sit in my shop, and they've been sitting in there for 5 years. I took the screws out because I was going to bandsaw them into smaller pieces to put on here. And so I turned the face of this. Actually, it's the other one I was talking about. I turned the face of it, and when it was done, I turned it around to reverse turn it, and I cut it down to this diameter. And then to speed the removal of the plywood, I used a chisel and stuck it between the 2 pieces of plywood and whacked it. And that's how much glue was holding it. And this is the safety minute, by the way. I'm sorry, I should have named that. And so that's not much to swing that piece of wood. And so even though you think you did something well 5 years ago, it doesn't mean you did.
This is I was gonna make a base out of it. This is a pressure treated 4x4. Oh, sorry. This is a pressure treated 4x4, and I turned it on its points instead of in the middle. I turned it on the opposite points, and that was the face of the 4x4 right there. And then when I was just gonna make a regular like vase, and then when the shape started coming out and it had this on there, I was like, I think I could probably make something that looks like a heart or something like that. So I decided to do that. And I was going to make it hollow inside, but then I didn't. And I just put a top on there and a bottom. And they got metal pins holding the top and bottom together on that. So when you turn it around, it looks like a vase kind of thing. And then it looks like a heart when you turn it the other way.
So if you remember the Christmas trees that I was messing with last year around November or so, I saw another thing on Pinterest where they were doing, it's basically the kind of a very similar skew action, and then turning them off in little flowers. They would cut them off at the back and just drop them into a bowl. I was trying to keep a stem on them, but I noticed that I had what looked kind of like a grapevine that I was making these out of, and the pith was right down the center. So when I would try to turn a stem, I would hit that pith and the pith would just go away. And so I wouldn't have much luck there. But after I would turn them, then I'll come in and I'll put a little bit of color with the Sharpie or some pins that I've got, and then spray that with alcohol, and that kind of makes them bleed out and kind of let that color just fade out. And I thought those were kind of fun. So just something I was playing with, and this is another one of our bowls. I just brought them in it. So.
Okay, so this piece here, oh, I guess it's about 3 months ago. It was the last living piece that was over there on the table. Nobody wanted it. It was going, take me. So I took him. And a lot of wormholes. And I like turning stuff like this because it saved me a lot of work of doing artwork on them. It's already pre-made art. So, hollow vessel. It's a little heavier than what I normally like, but not too bad. This piece was a log, and here's part of it. And for the life of me, I can't read what this name of this wood is. So maybe one of you guys can let me know. That'd be great. But anyway, it's a box, and it's just it was part of the whole branch. And there you go.
When the box.
About perseverance, I actually turned this platter last fall, I think. Sorry. I turned this platter last fall, summer or fall, and I got the blanket rockler. I love the figure in it. I thought it was really interesting, and so I was very careful. This is the first platter I've turned that came out where I got the shape right, got the form right. I was very pleased with that. I really took my time on that, and I was determined to put a really high gloss finish on it because I wanted to bring out that figure. And so I Danish oiled it and then put umpteen coats of spray lacquer on it, and then wet sanded and polished that down on the lathe, and I got it just about done. And I was just doing the last buffing and pressed a little bit too hard, and that lacquer stays just soft enough that I rubbed into it and it just smeared the finish completely. And so it has sat on the corner of my workbench ever since then. And so I finally got around just this month to actually finishing it. And so the finish was goobered up enough that I had to just return it all the way down to bare wood. And so I did that. And then, so this time Danish oiled it again, but then just used that Beal buffing system. So the Tripoli and the white diamond and carnauba wax. And it's darn near as glossy as I was going for originally anyway. So I was pleased with it.
Is that big leaf maple?
It's
that quilting,
what was on the shelf.
Gotta be.
I think it's just plain maple. I don't think it's
no.
big leaf. Yeah. maybe.
Look at the quilting in there.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
just
I like that.
spectacular.
It was really quilted. So anyway, so I was pleased.
That's cool.
I brought these, they're not anything, too special, but I watch a guy on YouTube videos, his videos, his Glenn and Lisa. He's a Scottish guy. And one day I was watching him and he had a chunk of wood and he said, well, a lot of people had asked me to turn a bowl. He says, I don't want to turn a bowl. You know, it was just like that, the sense that you get that you just maybe turned one bowl too many for a while. And so he turned a little box very similar to this and give it, he's sort of portly himself. And so he wanted to give it that rounded shape. And so I found it interesting enough that that evening I was coming to the open shop. So I had a piece of cedar and tried to turn a similar shape. The unique part of this is that I did not have this stone with me. And I thought, well, I'll try and turn a hole that stone will fit in without having the stone with me. But I knew I could bring the lid back the next night if I got it wrong. And as it turned out, it fit perfectly. So I was pretty glad about that. And this piece of wood actually had been rolling around in the back of my car for a year probably. And I decided it's one of those kinds of things where I frequently tell my wife, I don't have a plan. I'm just going to let the wood talk to me. So I came and I said, this piece of wood, I think it's poplar. I think it came out of my neighbor's tree. And so I turned it with a cedar lid and it has that same portly shape to it. So.
Mine's a little bit different because it starts with an enamel. The Enamel Society has a virtual conference this year, and there will be a virtual exhibition of sgraffito enamels. Now, sgraffito is not one of my favorite techniques, and I haven't done one in about 20 years, so this was the first one I'd done. And then I didn't really feel like setting it as jewelry, so I decided to turn this actually fits up inside here, but I don't want to drop it on the floor. So it will have a cherry frame. Now, everybody who's looked at this has said, oh, are you going to put that on a box or something? Well, eventually it may end up as a box, but the virtual show is in July this year. There's a physical show next January and another physical show next July. And the enamelists won't give a rat's ass about the box. So it'll just wait.
Good evening, everyone. I'm new to turning. So these are my 4th, 5th, and 6th attempts at turning bowls. Getting a little faster each time, a little better each time, get some tips here. And my favorite turner happens to be Richard Raffin.
Yes.
So man, if I could get as fast as that guy with a spindle gouge and a bowl gouge, I'd have it made. But this is a piece of box elder I got here at the club one night. They were giving away some wood back there. And this was a piece of soft maple, it said. And this little bowl here and that little twig vase came out of a piece of firewood. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Right. I think we saw some very nice things in our show and tell table this month. I think that wraps us up tonight. I appreciate everybody showing up. Looking forward to seeing you next month, and happy turning in between. If you have an opportunity, please show up at the picnic. It's a fun time. It's right off the lake, so the heat's not a problem. We get a cool wind off the lake every year. If you're available and want to see some of the second turning of the bowls, be here on the 27th and check that out and ask questions. And I guess other than that, help us get the chairs put away, and everybody have a safe drive home. And thanks for coming tonight.